Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard 101 video, and I know, I'm late to the party. Basically, today we're doing a Lemuria review. Now, I know that this is kind of late. Lemuria's been out for like 2 weeks now. It's because I've only just now gotten around to doing it. I quested through all of Lemuria, I believe it was 2 days ago now. It took me about 7 hours. Pretty good, pretty easy, with some difficult bosses, definitely. But today, I'm going to go over my review of the world. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, let's start off with what everyone's question going into it was, the graphics and reusing of assets. Now, a lot of people kind of had concerns going into it. They were like, what are the graphics going to be? What are the reused assets going to be? Because we knew that they were reusing some assets. Well, going through it, I can safely say that it's not noticeable at all that they are older. So basically, none of it was like, oh my god, this came out in 2010 or whatever. It all looks like it came out in a 2021 King's Isle world. The entire world, in my opinion, looks very fresh, very clean, very cool. The reused assets I actually found were kind of fun. It was almost like kind of a cool little test for me, trying to see if I could recognize what worlds it came from, everything like that. Genuinely, I do think it was a fun time. I think that it was pretty cool, pretty fun, and I actually enjoyed it. Also, my game froze when I went here. I just wanted to show you like some of the things. I took some pictures in Lemuria. One in particular that was really cool is this one in Heap. This is like based off of the Pigswick Academy headmistress office, and you can kind of see that, but obviously it is in grayscale, which I thought was really cool. So ultimately, graphics, amazing. But what I like to talk about specifically, I'm going to talk about Heap, because I don't know what people think about Heap, but I genuinely think this street was one of the best streets ever created in this game. I think the storyline of it is really, really fun, and even better, it looks amazing. I love the film noir-esque kind of style of it, from the looks to the actual characters. Everything in the Heap street I genuinely think was amazing, and I think Heap was probably one of my favorite streets in this game. And that, in my opinion, is really good. But let's get back on topic with a broad overview of the world. I just wanted to go over that real quick, because I know a lot of people were concerned about the graphics. The graphics, A+, amazingly done. So let's actually talk about the storyline. Now, I genuinely think the storyline was really fun and really creative. Kind of going hand in hand with this is the characters. I genuinely love every single character in this world, and it gives me kind of Mirage vibes, where I genuinely think the best part of this world are the characters, except it's not just a few really good standouts. It's literally every character in this world is creative, is well written, and is genuinely amazing. And I love in the final fight where you fight all of the heroes at the same time, them thinking that they should keep the world synthesizer to make the world a better place. I genuinely think that fight was amazing, and I love the development between all the characters and you as the wizard. Really, really amazing overall. So to give a kind of broad overview of the storyline, which again I think is really, really well done and amazing, we come to Lemuria because basically the old one created it as kind of his home. He took aspects of different worlds and kind of put them together to make this hodgepodge of kind of a multi-world thing in Lemuria. And basically, we need to get the world synthesizer and stop him from actually succeeding in his nefarious plans. So we go from area to area, collecting these kind of things in his labs to actually open this pillar in Telos, which kind of has the old one's essence in it and allows us to actually get the world synthesizer. I thought that the storyline is really, really interesting, really, really cool. There's different challenging bosses throughout all of it, and actually collecting the different characters as your friends and allies, going street to street, really, really fun. And it made the ending of this world all the more satisfying. I genuinely think the storyline of this world is amazing, and I love how it ends with Design kind of, you know, disappearing, and then the potential hope that Von Trapped gets. Like, you kind of look out and you see like a little thing bubbling there, which is probably Design, which implies that his character is going to continue on, which is amazing because I think his character is really, really solid, is really, really good. Another thing I want to talk about, let me just talk about like the progression and the different streets here. I'm going to say in regards to the story, it's really, really fun. You start off in Telos, obviously, with all the lemurs being scared of you, really fun, into the Wildlands and Ursai Village. I genuinely, in retrospect, I think Ursai Village is kind of one of my least favorite parts of this world. I think it's really good, but I genuinely think the rest of it is so good that it doesn't really compare. Following Ursai Village, you go into the Night Forest, which has one of my favorite aesthetics in the entire game. I love the fact that you can kind of recognize Dundara here, but it's been updated and revamped to a point that it is almost completely unrecognizable from Dundara, and genuinely, I think this is one of the coolest streets in the game. I mean, I could be, you know, maybe not everyone's gonna think that, but I genuinely think this is one of, oh, I didn't even realize I had a side quest here. It's one of the best streets in the game, and it's right up there with Heap. Next up is the Badlands. Badlands is based on kind of Conda Desert a little bit, but luckily it's kind of short, so you get through it pretty fast. And then you go to Mandoria, and Mandoria, while based on Tyrian Gorge in Chrysalis, which is really painful, has some amazing, like, a storyline. And then you have Mandar, who is obviously has the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice, which is really cool. Like, you know, he goes like, wow, free Mandoria, that kind of thing, you know. Sorry if that was a horrible Arnold impression, but I don't care. He's a really cool character, one of my favorites. Following Mandora, you go to Sky City, which is really cool as well. Probably my least favorite of the streets, I would say, but luckily it is incredibly short of a street and incredibly sweet. Following that is the Heap, which you meet like Shadow, some cool things, and then like the actual whole aesthetic of Heap is amazing. I've already kind of gushed about that in the beginning. And then ultimately you reach the final battle, which I will say, I genuinely think the final battle of this world is amazing. I think it's cleverly created. The 4v8 is really, really cool. I think they did an amazing job with that. The cheats are genuinely creative and actually pose a challenge, like the halved pip rate, all that. And ultimately, I just think it's really cool. I love the strategy that's been created. I've farmed it quite a few times now, trying to get the gear, which is, you know, genuinely pretty cool. So there is that. That is really the overview of the world. Now I'm going to tell you about the gear, because there is gear that comes with this world. I kind of made a video on it, but it wasn't like a super in-depth video on the gear. There is the new gear that was added in the final boss. Now, the final boss, I would like to say, has decently easy cheats to understand once you get it down. Really, really simple, and you can get the gear pretty easily. I would say if you have Dragoon gear and you have the full set, so if you have hat, boots, and amulet, and you have the set bonus from that, it is probably not worth it to upgrade from the Dragoon gear to the Merciless gear, which is the top rated gear. But if you're like me, where you never actually went and took the dive, went for Dragoon gear, and you just stuck with the Vanguard gear, then absolutely it is worth the upgrade. You can see right here, it is full on an upgrade, and it gives me like an extra bit of damage. My death's damage is actually pretty solid now. If I wore the Dolcher mount, I actually can get up to 151. Pretty sick. My death stats looking pretty clean, if I do say so myself. Ultimately, the gear is pretty good in that regard, and ultimately, the best part about the gear, in my opinion, is it looks amazing. Like, I'm genuinely thinking this is going to become my new Death Stitch once I can get the Merciless Death Robe, either that or the, I forget, the crafted one. Genuinely, it does look really cool, and I think I'm going to do that as my boot robe stitch. I'm going to have to find a new hat, but it genuinely does look really cool. You can see here, looks really amazing, really creative, and I love the design, and KingsIsle made a really good design. Ultimately, I feel like that is decent, like a decent overview of the world. Just to recap, graphics, pretty good, storyline, amazing, characters, really, really good, and then the gear is potentially an upgrade. So what would I kind of rate this world? What would I say that this world is to me? This world, for me, maybe not for everyone, but for me, is easily a top 5 world. I think that if I had to go over my top 5, I've gone over it a few times, but I think Mirage was like kind of in 5th place or so. it would probably kick Mirage out of 5th place, and Lemuria is now sitting tightly in that 5th place. I don't think it's a top 3 world for me, because I don't think it will ever match like Marleybone, Polaris, those worlds for me, Avalon, but I do genuinely think that it is a very, very good world, and it's probably the best world they've released out of the last, like, quite a few worlds. I'm not gonna lie to you. So that's my overview on the world. Let me know what your thoughts of Lemuria were in the comments below, because I am really interested about your thoughts. Like, what did you think of the world? I genuinely think it's amazing, and I'm pretty excited to do it again in the future, you know? I still have plenty of side quests I need to do here. I genuinely think this is a really amazing world, and I'm excited to hear what you have to think. But that's it for today. If you enjoyed, drop a like, hit the sub button, go support me financially on Patreon, and join my Discord server. But that is it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Adios.